The sun's not really out today, though. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Motivation Room. My name is Katan. I'm the founder of BossPayBlog.com. And today I'm joining you live to have a conversation. I'm outside right now. It's kind of a casual conversation. I'm here with MJ. We already started the conversation. We've talked about a series of things. Hello, MJ. Welcome.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm feeling relaxed.
Good.
Um, yeah, I feel like the topic that I want to discuss is kind of right on time, and it was actually an epiphany that I had just recently. So, how about you? How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. It's winding down towards the end of the semester for me, so always the best
Hmm.
time of year for me.
Good, good. So today's motivation room, I do have a topic that I've been thinking about, um, and I want to flip the script. A lot of times we talk about accountability, we talk about showing up, we talk about the importance of, you know, being accountable, but for the person who is already practicing showing up, they're already practicing being accountable. Um, it can feel lonely sometimes when you are an overachiever or when you are striving for excellence. And the reason why I think it feels lonely is because um, it almost feels like you're on this mission that a lot of people don't understand, because if they understood it, they would show up for themselves on that same level as well. And for you or with you. Um, and I say all of that to say we don't give ourselves enough credit for the consistency, the follow through, and the credit that we do exhibit. Um, Oftentimes, we focus so much on what's not going well or what's not going right. But I had to think about this. Sometimes you're working on trying to make things happen, and the things or people around you are not consistent or not reliable or a little flaky or shaky. And we forget that the fact that you're able to continue and persevere past that is a testament. It's a testament to the fact that that's how you know you're on track. That is how you know that you have a level of strength and a level of grit that is unmatched for you to be able to still make things happen despite the negative things that have happened to you in the past, or the inconsistencies around you. I just recently got done talking about this because I had this really big important production, and in the process of doing this production, I had people that I was collaborating with, I had people I was working with, and this happened to me more than once. But at this specific production, I had maybe, like, I think, what, two people that didn't ended up not being able to fulfill their end of the collaboration, but did not communicate that they were not able to fill their end of the collaboration. And in the moment, I think, had I been so focused on dwelling on the negativity, I would have allowed that to get me, rattled. But in all reality, I forgot that one of them didn't fulfill their end of the the collaboration, and they came back and they were like, "Hey, I'm so sorry, I couldn't do da da da." Da." And this is not anything negative towards them, but it's to say I had to sit for a moment. I said, you know what? When you forget that people didn't even fulfill what they're supposed to fulfill because you were too busy taking care of business for yourself, that's when you know you are one solid individual. And that's not just in business, that's in any area of your life. I forgot that you were supposed to be doing this because I wasn't relying on you for validation or for the success of my mission, anyways. So I'm glad that you were able to be a part of it in whatever way that you can, for anyone that is. But for people that weren't able to, or just aren't able to have that consistency in my life in different areas, friendship, whatever it is, I really did forget. I really wasn't angry about it because I was really focused on the fact that I'm going to make this happen regardless. And so I think it's two messages that I want to sit on. The first message is the importance of not looking outward for validation. You have to look inward for your validation as an entrepreneur, as a person. And the second thing that I want to lean on is giving yourself that kudos and that props, because we're so focused on feeling like we can't find that support and that quality. But the reality is, you are the quality. And if there's people like you out here, I mean, if you're out here, there has to be people out there with the same mindset that you just need to keep looking for and keep leaning towards and keep being open to, so that when you receive that, you're able to receive it and you're not in a traumatized state of thinking that everybody is going to be that way, or no one is going to be there for you, or no one's going to be reliable, or you can't ask for help, because that's not the case. But that's what I wanted to share. We got to give ourselves credit a lot more than what we do. And I thought about that. Like when I was thinking about that, it popped up in my mind probably about 3 times maybe, because oftentimes people will apologize for their inconsistencies, and I don't really look for apologies, and that's only because it doesn't really it doesn't really matter, because I'm not angry with you. I just see that this isn't something that you're reliable in, and I accept that. And now I know what I need to do for myself, and I'm not going to unsee it, because I like you or I care about you, but I'm not angry at you or holding anything against you or harboring anything against you. But for me, it's more so, don't get discouraged when things don't go your way, when situations occur that you weren't expecting, um, when circumstances change and relationships change. Don't be discouraged. We have to practice giving ourselves credit for showing up for ourselves, even on the days when it feels lonely, and not worry about what anybody else is doing. Have that validation in yourself enough to know that regardless of what the next person is doing, I'm going to show up for myself. I'm going to make things happen for myself. I'm going to educate myself. These are all things that we need to be doing so that if things don't go right with other people, we're not dependent upon other people. So that, I would say, is the main message that I want to relay. And there was something else that I was thinking about earlier, but when I started thinking about this topic, MJ, I kind of lost track. So I think I'll just stick to that for now. And if it pops back up, I'll let you know. But what are your thoughts on that?
You know, we've had this conversation a lot about um, not being so hard on oneself.
Hmm.
Um, I being very hard on myself, a little more hard on myself than other people can be on me.
Hmm.
And I've had to also realize, hey, you still showed up. And for a lot, let me not say for some, for a lot of people, they can't say the same. We
Yeah.
talk about um, one of the things that you ask us is when we first go into any type of meeting that we're going into is what are your business wins? And when I've had this conversation before, so if you are an OG to this setting, you've heard this before. If you are new to this setting, let me explain. That question stumped me the first time she asked me that question because in my mind, I didn't think I was doing enough. In my mind, I didn't see what she saw as a win. I saw, oh, I didn't do anything. I didn't make anything. This was a $0 month. However, I quickly had to remember you were still able to pay your business overhead. You were still
Hmm.
able to work in your business. Yes, the income might not be coming right now. No, it's not going to come instantly. But the fact you were able to pay your business overhead for all of my businesses, because let's be clear, for all of them, each one of them has some sort of overhead that I'm responsible for. And if I
Hmm.
don't pay it, that business goes close.
Hmm.
So that was one of the biggest things I had to remember. And then as we started working closer together, that question was no longer a tough question for me. Now I can walk into the room and say, okay, this is what happened in this business, blah, 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 in this business, blah, 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 in this business, blah, 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 blah. It took me a while to get there. Okay? Now, as mentioned earlier, you are the one who continuously shows up. And the ones that don't show up for you, you know where to put them.
Yep.
I know that this project is not for you.
Hmm.
But I also had to realize, and this was the biggest thing I had to realize, and I need somebody to really pay attention to this line I'm about to lay on you right quick. I really need you to pay attention. Not everybody is you.
Yep.
So you can't walk around thinking, excuse me, you can't walk around saying what you would do because they're not you. You would have been able to, and I'm saying you, just saying in general, you would have been able to communicate, hey, I'm unable to meet said deadline because here's what's going on in my life. I had X, I had Y, I had Z, I had A, B, C, D. Go all through the alphabet if you wish and run it back 2 more times. There's always something going on. But the people who are accountable will communicate that. And we've also had a conversation about accountability. Accountability is not one of those cute conversations that you want to have.
Yeah.
Accountability never looks cute. That's not that's not a conversation that's going to be lollipops and gumdrops. Sometimes that conversation is going to be a little hard. Sometimes that conversation is going to be a little rough. Sometimes that conversation may hurt some feelings,
Yeah. And
especially if you can't take it from who is coming from. Now, I know I can be very direct. So when I say something, I'm not beating around the bush. I'm not going all around the world no. And that directness may hurt. That directness may intimidate. That directness may make you not want to speak to me again. However, that's okay. Because when you do decide, if you decide that you want to speak to me, and you will never be able to say, you didn't give it to me straight up.
yeah.
And
And I was
those are the
also
type
gonna
of people you want to keep
I
around.
was I was also gonna say too, when you said that, the thing that popped in my mind is I think that another reason why accountability feels so harsh of a conversation in the beginning is because we're, like you said, a lot of people are already their worst critics.
Hmm.
So, you're already in the back of your mind eating yourself up about things that are not perfect or not going right. So hearing that out loud sometimes brings that fear of you feeling like you're not doing good to reality. But
Hmm.
the true reality is that once you bring that fear out, you're able to address it and find a solution.
Right, right.
But I do think that's part of the reason why accountability can sting a little bit because you're already beating yourself up. You're already feeling like you're not doing enough, and you may not want to say it out loud sometimes. And sometimes it's not that case, but I do think for some people it is the case. Like they're already thinking about the stuff that is not perfect for them, and they don't want to, you know, say it out loud because then I have to admit that I'm not doing this well, and that's an overall failure, or it's a reflection of my success or my abilities. When in
Hmm.
reality, it's not a reflection of your success, your abilities, or your integrity. The reflection is what you do when you realize that there's a better way to do something.
Hmm.
So I think that that sticks. And then there was
It,
something else that popped in my mind, but I don't want to. I want to make sure you didn't have another part of that you wanted to add on.
no, it's just that it does stick, especially to those who need to hear it.
Hmm.
A lot of times you may not want to hear it,
Yeah,
but it need to be said.
I agree. And there's another message that popped in my mind that I want to talk about, and that is how I want to motivate people to be open to receiving support and love from different people that want the best for them,
Hmm.
but and not miss out on great relationships. This conversation specifically is coming from some things that I've experienced, but oftentimes a person will join a relationship with you or a partnership or whatever ship with you because they've romanticized an idea of who you are to them and what you're going to be and how you're going to help them, right?
Right.
um and I think that that can be a little bit of an unhealthy behavior when you are learning to meet new people and you're growing, because in your mind you have this idea of what this person should be, what they should look like, how they should speak, and how they should show up in your life. And similar to what you were saying earlier about placing people in their own box, I just feel like we need to allow people to show up the way that they want to show up with their own free will in your life. And as they show up, you determine what box they need to be in or what category they should be in your life. But don't try to, inorganically force something out of someone. I think that social media, I keep talking about social media. I know that's not the root of all issues, but I do feel like we're excited about people until we realize that people aren't going to be able to always serve us. And that's simply not possible because everyone needs to be loyal to themselves first. And I say this because I've seen relationships and I've been in relationships where a person had an idea of what I was going to do for them. And then when they realize that, yes, I'm going to support you. Yes, I care for you. Yes, I want the best for you. But at the end of the day, I have to take care of myself. I have to do for myself. And there's going to be moments when I have to say no. There's going to be moments when I have to prioritize what's important. There's going to be moments when you may want something, but you can't get that. At least not for me. You're going to have to go get it for yourself or somewhere else. And instead of accepting that, they respond with um, changing character, changing integrity. Now your attitude is different. Now the way you show up is different, or how you don't show up. And that all comes from being upset that you couldn't control how an individual shows up in your life, or how they do things in their life. Which to me, if a person tells you that this is how they are, we need to learn to accept people for what they tell you they are versus hearing what they say and taking it as a challenge to try to change their mind or change them, because the relationship itself is going to suffer. So I think another message that I want to share is don't don't be afraid to say no when things don't make sense for you. And if that means you're going to have to lose out on relationships or friendships because people are assuming the worst out of you simply wanting the best for yourself, then that's just what that means. And then on the other end, don't miss out on great friendships and great partnerships because you're acting off of emotion. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
taking things personally. And I can even give an example. I had one time, there was somebody that I had talked to at the time that I really felt like, we were getting along, we were having a good relationship. But there's days when I can't talk. I can't be on my phone all the time. I can't communicate about every single thing that's going on in my day. And I don't like to be on my phone. And if you're my friend or someone that's close to me or has grown a relationship with me, you know that. I don't like to be on my phone just to be on it.
Right.
If you haven't noticed, I'm on it a lot for work, for consultations, for socializing. So if you were to ask me, what do you want to do today? If I could just see everybody in one room without us having to be on our technology, that would be ideal for me. That's me. So I had someone where we were talking and stuff, and I'm like, okay, I got to lock in, I got to get work busy and stuff. And they were acting like they understood. And then when I started to really lock in to focusing on the things I had to for my life and my business, their attitude changed. It was like little passive aggressive comments here and there. It was intentionally asking or doing things that I've already told you I don't do or I don't want to do. And then I have another friend on the different spectrum. Same exact conversation, same exact person. Not them, but me.
Right.
This individual, I could talk to this individual 3 months from now, and we'll be talking like we're best friends, and we are best friends. But we'll be talking like we, the last time we talked was yesterday. And that's because our relationship, we just allow each other to show up. We don't try to dictate how we show up. I don't worry about, if I don't hear from this friend for like, a couple of weeks, as long as, I see them post, let's say they post on social media, they're alive, you know, I see them doing stuff for their business. They're alive. You're doing well. I'm alive. We're doing well together. Great. You call me, we talk, we laugh, we have a good time, but it's organic. It's not like you must call me at 8 p.m. at this time. And if you don't, you're not my friend. Um, Relationships like that, I feel, are the strongest relationships because I know that if I was really going through something, I could possibly call this individual, and they're one of the first people that I think of in my head. Like if I'm really down and I'm going through something, I could call this person, and I know that they will hear me. They're not going to judge me, and they're going to allow me to show up as I am. But when you create a relationship built off of forcefulness, of like, if a person doesn't do it the way you feel like they need to do it, that safe space tends to be eliminated. Like there's no space for me to be authentic or be myself because you're already wanting or expecting that I'm going to be what you think I should be and how you think, it's going to benefit you. Hopefully I'm articulating that in a way where, people who are going through that can understand what the message that I'm relaying. But do you have any thoughts on that?
The message that I'm getting is I'm not always okay.
You said what?
That's I'm not always okay.
Hmm.
That's the message that I'm receiving.
Hmm.
There might be days where I'm happy, cheery, and there are days where I'm not happy, cheery.
Hi, Bangladesh. Thanks for watching.
You you
Joining in
you
from Bangladesh.
you can't be a friend to somebody when they're always happy, when they're always willing to give. You got to be in the trenches with your real friends. Now,
Hmm.
we're not talking about the ones you just call friend all over the social media platforms. Hey friend, hey friend. This friend ain't got your phone number.
Hey, free,
Right. This friend
free.
ain't got your phone number. This friend don't know your schedule. This friend don't know the difference between happy you and not so happy you. Those surface level friends, that's not who we're talking about here.
Yeah.
We talking about the people that know, like, hey, and automatically something's not right. You can hear it in their voice. You can see
Hmm.
it in how they're acting. You can see it in how they are. You can see it. A person that knows you knows you. Okay. Um, what else? There was something else I wanted to touch on what you said. Oh man, I can't think of it.
And I wanted to add a little part too. Maybe it'll pop up while you're hearing me say this.
Yeah.
That is a part of how I feel. I do feel like sometimes I'm not always going to be on, and I want to be able to just be off and not feel like I'm doing you a disservice because I'm not on when you want me to be on. Um, so yes, I do feel that sentiment. But also like the core thing that I want to get across is just allowing people to show up as they are in your life and accepting how they show up. I think we do one of two things. We either don't allow them to show up as they are, and we try to force them into something that they're not, and then the relationship becomes inauthentic because they're not operating from what they really want to operate from, anyways, and it becomes a burnout because I'm doing this because you are acting as if you know this is the only way I can be a friend to you, you know, or the other way, we see them showing up and they're showing us they care about us. And instead of us accepting that this person cares about us, we're just continuously coming up with reasons in our head for why there has to be a problem, instead of just accepting that this is somebody that shows up and this is how they show up. Because everybody's not going to be your everything. And some people don't understand that. You can reiterate it, but they don't always understand it. And a lot of people take things personally instead of just accepting the truth and the reality. And the reality is, if a person is showing up for you, even if they're not in every single room, but they are in a room in your life and they're bringing a level of positivity to that room, that is an ally. That is someone that cares for you. That is someone that wants the best for you. I said they don't have to be in every room, but the room that they are in, they are bringing something positive and fruitful to that room. That is an ally. I'm not going to be in every room in your life. I can't, because I'm still managing mine. But a lot of times people expect a person to be in all of those rooms because they haven't found that self validation. And you have to find that internally so that you're not looking for someone else to be room in every part of your life. I'm not going to be in the parental room in your life. I'm telling you now, as a friend, as whatever, I'm not your parent. I can't be. I don't have no children. There's a reason for that. Um, I can be in that friend room. I can be in that shoulder to cry on room. I can be in that mentorship room. I can be in that accountability room. I can be in the coaching room, consulting room, but I can't be in every room at once. I can't. Not at the capacity that is going to take over you not having to do the work for yourself. And I hope that by saying that, that was a clear message. It's just about being able to find the validation internally so you're not relying on if someone else shows up. And even though those were two different messages, they kind of correlate together because just like I was saying earlier, that's when you know that you are a solid individual, when no matter what anyone else is doing, you consistently show up and you consistently have integrity. It comes from having that validation internally because you're not seeking it elsewhere. If I'm hosting something or I'm producing something, I don't care about if the next person shows up. I want you to, but it's not going to stop anything that I'm doing. This is happening today and it's happening with quality. and I'm going to have a great time. And everybody that is in my presence is going to have a great time because this is what I willed it to be. I'm here for a reason. I'm on a mission. And because I have that personal validation, a lot of times you attract other people that have that personal validation, and you guys can do great work together. But when you don't have that personal validation to show up for yourself, to have your own integrity, to make things happen for yourself, what happens is you end up leaning on other people and expecting them to bring something out of you that you don't even bring out of yourself. So, you know, that's my message on that.
All of that, all of that makes sense and is absolutely true. Um, when you are in a place where you know what you can bring to the table,
Hmm.
what anybody else do or don't bring to said table, we're gonna be all right. I know that at the end of the day, regardless of who shows up at my table or not, this table will be okay.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna eat.
Crawfish specifically. But yes, I'm going to eat.
Look, I'm still going to eat, whether it is breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert, or what have you. I'm,
Hmm. It's going to happen. So I want you to be a part of
that's
that. I
it.
want you to be a part of that table. I want you to bring your sides. But to think that the dinner is going to be shut down because you don't show up, baby, no.
Yeah, a lot of people think that dinner's going to be canceled because you,
Chose not to
whoever
show
this
up.
you is, 'cause there's nobody specific behind that you, but if you feel like this is the person that you are, there you go.
Yeah. I mean, we got to be our own. It's like we be our own critics. We can also be our own self aware individuals and know if it's us or if it's not us. Some people
Right.
might be going through this, some people might be that person, but, and some people might have experienced both in their life. Um, but yeah, listen, it's not stopping for anybody. So you got to get in the mindset that you can't worry about what other people are doing and you can't allow other people's inconsistencies to cause you to start being inconsistent, because then you start to become that where you're looking externally for reasons as to why you can't succeed, when the reality is that you have everything that you need right here and you really just need to show up like you do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we talked about quite a few different things, and I just hope that for any entrepreneurs that started a business, have a mission, are trying to achieve something, have a goal. If you're feeling lonely, if you're wondering if it's going to work, if you have those days where you're by yourself, even though you've tried to, you know, spread out, I don't want you to become discouraged. I need you to keep going, because keep going is you keeping on and going is what separates you from the next person. In our sales mentorship call today, I discussed how, you know, a lot of times we're all feeling the same things. The difference is some people allow those fears to control their actions, and other people ignore those fears and make stuff happen. And those are the differences, because the same way the entrepreneur who just started yesterday and has no clients, no following, is nervous about growth, the entrepreneur that has been in business, ran other people's businesses, has multiple clients, still growing, but growing rapidly, am nervous about change, about future, about what things need to be taken care of. We all have the same similar emotions and battles, but what differentiates us is who's going to get up and make things happen and not make excuses. Who's going to continue to hold themselves accountable for their own level of quality and follow through, regardless of the external factors. Because that person is who people are going to look to as reliable, and that is who people are going to look to as the solution. So you have to keep going, and you cannot allow things to stop you. I talked about this with you before, MJ, but and I think I've shared on our live. I'm gonna end on this sentiment, and I'll let you close out with whatever you feel. But a great example would be like, I had a time where I was hosting something and somebody was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do that. I'm not gonna be able to make that. I'm not gonna be able to." You get that sometimes in business. People will instantly try to shut you down or tell you what you can't do or what's not gonna work well. And I mean, I just laughed because I was like, first of all, it wasn't a question of if it's happening. It's happening. We're going. You don't have to, but it's happening. And when it does, it's going to be wonderful. So I'd love for you to be a part of it. But if it's not for you, that's okay too. There's no hard feelings. But that fear of, what if nobody loves what I do? What if nobody shows up? What if nobody thinks this is important? You have to release that and you have to act, because acting is what helps you build momentum in your business and in your life. But sitting and ruminating over fears is what stops you from growing. So that will be my last message. What about you? What's your message?
I have to agree because, and here's the thing, there are some people who feel that their opinion is just,
Everything.
yeah, yeah. That wasn't the word that was coming up in my head. Like, some people truly feel like your words is end all be all of whatever.
Hmm.
Harper, who are you?
And that's not even the concept of life. Whose
Right.
words are, there's nobody on this earth.
Harper, who is you?
Not Harpo, who is you.
Who is you? I was gonna turn around and say, Harper, who this woman? Because uh listen, listen. Everybody has an opinion. Opinions are like belly buttons.
Ah!
Everybody has one.
Ooh.
Okay? I'm gonna leave it at that because the other version of that is what I really want to say, but I'm behave. If you don't know what the other version of that is,
Follow us for after hours.
there you go.
We can
There
teach
you
you a
go.
couple things that don't have to do with business.
Yeah,
But
yeah. But
yes.
you can't allow other opinions to shape what you do in your business, in your life, with your friends, with your family, because those people might be operating on fear.
Yeah.
And if they're operating on fear and you're operating on fear, what you doing? It
You'll have
takes
a
a
whole bunch of fearful people.
yeah. We're playing fear factor. That's what we're doing. We're playing fear
Mhm.
factor. There. Sorry.
No,
There are
you're fine.
there's too much out there for everybody. Okay. A lot of times you hear a lot of people's fears come out in, oh, this business is oversaturated. Oh, you know, you're gonna be doing that thing. Everybody's doing that thing. Well, not everybody's doing that thing like me.
Yeah. And even if they were, there's so many brands that have tons of businesses in their industry, and people are still joining the industry and making tons of money. Because one thing we will never not have, well, look, I don't even know if I can say that anymore, but I was going to say one thing we will never not have is new people to serve. But, with birth rates declining, and let's not get into that. Let's just talk about the fact that at the end of the day, there's industries that you can go be a part of right now that have tons of professionals in that industry and still make great money.
Hmm. If you ever do get the feeling of this business is oversaturated, there's too many people doing the same thing, do me a favor. Do this and then report back to me and then let me know what you see. Go to your local grocery store. Walk down the bread aisle and see how many different types, how many different brands of bread you see. Because you're gonna have Wonder Bread, you're gonna have Sara Lee, you're gonna have store brand bread. Whichever store brand you decide, could be Publix, could be Walmart, could be Winn Dixie, could be Trader Joe's, wherever you decide to shop. Walk down the bread aisle. If all those brands can sit on the same aisle and still make money, that's all I have for you. God bless. Good night.
You're not lying. I mean, you're telling the truth. Um, I hope that this motivation room, we talked about like 3 or 4 different topics, but I hope that it was beneficial to at least one person out there. Just talk about tell them, MJ. Well, it was beneficial to someone. Um, Good evening, and thank you, Charlie. Hello, thank you for joining, and thanks for joining us live at Soft Girl Sunday. Um, it was fun, but yeah. So I hope that that helps someone out there. I hope that overall, I just want to make sure that people are taking care of themselves and feeding yourself the right content. If you're ever feeling down, distraught, like MJ said, there's so many people out here doing the same thing. So you got to choose. Are you going to be that person that sits and makes the reasons for why you can't be that person too? Or are you going to go for it intentionally, strategically? I'm not telling you to go out there and throw away everything in your life and just jump into the water. I mean, strategically. But thank you so much for listening, watching our platform. Thank you, Charlie. And we will be joining you here shortly in about 20 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. I'll be joining in our next, exactly. She said, I'm going for it. In our next room, which is a success room. Normally that's a private room, but today I wanted to do maybe about 10, 20 minutes just to have a conversation with entrepreneurs that might need to hear some of these tips and insight. Nothing crazy, just a little bit. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for joining us, MJ. I truly appreciate you. Uh, let's go.
Thank you for having me, as
Charlie hyped me
usual.
up in the comments. She getting me excited. Look, I'm
Listen,
trying to close
Charlie's
out
gonna
Charlie.
be
Gonna
that
make me
one.
keep going for 15 more
Charlie's
minutes.
gonna be that
But
one. But thank you for having me. We do appreciate the platform. It's always a pleasure, and it's always a good time getting on here with you.
thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, we be clowning on and off camera.
We do, but the clowning be intentional sometimes. The clowning has
You
a message too. It's
It
not
does.
just
It
clowning.
does. You have to have fun. You gotta love what you do. And I feel like because we do love this, it just comes naturally. But thank you everyone for watching. I will be back soon on our success room. And feel free to share your sentiments on these topics. And we're gonna talk some business in our next room. Bye.